Alright, hello everybody. Zealots, Zerglings, Marines, cheesy bastards, macro players, Terrans that complain all day about how their race is the hardest and they're the most muscular. Thank you for joining us. It is the PiGShow episode number 10. Streaming this one at a little bit of a different time for me, but I'm very excited to have a very special guest on the show. We do have none other than Elazer. Of course, someone who I have kind of watched go from being a young, I think it was a 17 years old Polish kid back in the day, getting into WCS. I've actually got some questions about your first tournaments as well and things I'd like to talk about a bit later. But thank you so much for joining me, man.
Good to be here. Good to be here. I'm happy to join. What time is it in your place right now?
It is just past 6 o'clock in the evening.
So that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's actually really normal time. I'm such a granddad though, so I'm normally live like at like 6 or 7 in the morning. So for me, it's like it's this weird thing where this is that time of day where normally I'm kind of winding down at this point. I'm kind of like I'm in bed at like 9 o'clock.
Wake up like 4:30.
I wake up at like it's either 5:30, 5:40, or just after 6. So somewhere.
Okay, that's hardcore. That's hardcore. I think it's good to wake up early, but like 7 a.m. is normal. But 4:30 guys, I don't get them.
Yeah, we're a little. Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite a 4:30 guy. But those ones, it's already weird enough. Like in the middle of winter, if I'm waking up even at like 6:30,
Yeah, okay, no, that's terrible.
It's all dark and stuff. Yeah, if you're getting up at 4 a.m., you're like, oh, I gotta wait 4 hours till the light comes out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, it makes sense to wake up the second that the sun goes up. So, for example, in the summer, 4:30 makes sense, but in the winter, like, it must be crazy, I think.
Yeah, man. Like those old dudes that go and then jump in a ice cold lake or like river. They go for like a swim at the crack of dawn. I'm like, oh, you're insane. How do you do that?
No, I would do it. I think I would do it. It's just not good for being a pro gamer, waking up 4:30.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, by the time you get halfway through a Wardy tournament, it's going to be like 11 p.m. at night, right?
No, like if I was not a pro gamer, maybe I would be doing 4:30. Like I don't have problem with this type of stuff, but like I wake up at right now I wake up around like 9, so like around this time right now, and there's no people on ladder. There's nobody to practice with. Okay, I can go gym, but like waking up at 9 kind of makes sense to me. Waking up at 4, I would have nothing to do for 5 hours because nobody plays.
Exactly. Yeah. People always ask me why I don't play Korean ladder, and I'm like I'm streaming at 6 a.m. my time, or 7 or 8 a.m. That's 4 or 5 a.m. Korea time. It's like I'll get like one dude who's practicing really late at night, who's 1,000 MMR above me, and then I'll play like some kid who's skipping school or something like that. Like, and that's basically it. It's a weird thing. Actually, I have a question I want to ask before I forget. So we're like a few weeks into isolation and everything. Obviously, like right around Katowice is when things got kind of serious. Do pro gamers, or you specifically, do you play more or less StarCraft, do you think, now with isolation?
Maybe a bit more, actually, yeah. But around the same.
Definitely more other games, though, right?
No, the same. I
really?
only play other games past 10 p.m., so like 2 hours before sleep. Always, every day. So nothing changes. I never play these games before 10 p.m.
All right, you're a lot like me then, where this hasn't really affected you that much. I mean, did you used to go to the gym before? Like, what's kind of changed in your daily routine?
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually more into the routine right now, I think. So before, the routine was a bit messy because sometimes, my team wanted me to come to their like team house to record something. Now, there's no this distraction is gone. Okay, I was going to the gym, but the time always was different because I'm going to the gym with my coach from my team, and he always, sometimes it's 11 a.m., sometimes it's 1 p.m., and so the time was always different. Right now, like I'm on my own, so I want to go run, I will go run whenever I want, or I want to do a workout at home, I will do it whenever I want. So just every day, I wake up same time, I eat breakfast, and I have the routine like super down. So
you kind of getting into that just really beautiful efficiency then, right?
Totally, totally.
I kind of
Like
feel the same thing,
I'm
right?
trying to do like two. Well, the thing is, it's still difficult for me to actually get the routine down that I want. I want to have two segments of practice, 4 hours of StarCraft, right? I always get one segment down, like easy. Like for example, in the morning, I say let's start from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I can do this 4 hours, but then the second segment, it's so difficult to start, and if I start it, it's difficult to go for 4 hours. So like, let's say I will start at five. I start at 5 p.m. and I want to do it till 9 p.m. But then somebody distracts me, then I do for like only 1 hour of games, and yeah. This one is hard. Other than that, the routine is totally down, but difficult to do the two segments of 4 hours. That's my problem right now.
I think past 4 hours is really rough. Do you ever do like endurance sessions where you do like a full big just like grind for 7, 8 hours or something like that? Because I always found that like impossible.
I don't do those, but I guess I should. I should.
Just like once in a while, get used for like an open
Yeah,
bracket, right? It's like good for those really
exactly.
long days.
It's pretty
But
funny, like because I talk a lot of like with my coaches in my team. There's a lot of like guys that from sport, and uh, and they recommend all those type of stuff because that's what they do in sports. So
yeah,
they told me like, okay, once a week try playing for 10 hours straight, but usually you shouldn't do this because that's absolutely stupid, you know. uh, or like try a couple times for 2 hours every time, like the different times. Yeah,
it
but
kind
the
of
endurance things for 10 hours, it makes sense to practice it from time to time. I
yeah,
think you
that's
should.
it's kind of hard when you if you're not talking to coaches and stuff, right? Like when you're just on your own. Like in the past, I'm sure you were much more probably never really experienced a coach up until recently, right? Like it would have just been
Yeah.
practicing on your own schedule and just matching up with practice partners, go, hey, you want to play some ZVP? Let's grind some games.
Well, like not only that, but before I was absolutely clueless. Like I didn't think about these things because, for example, for after I got very good at StarCraft, I kind of my personality kind of changed. I got really like goal oriented, I guess,
Hmm.
and so I started searching myself, and I figured out a lot of ways to improve myself, like a lot of I don't know, like strategies on how to
Yeah.
improve, like how to practice and stuff like that.
Was
And
there
on top of that, now I got a coach that actually can answer any of my questions. So it, let's say, speeds up the progress, maybe.
yeah, rather than looking around. And what was some of the first things you came across or some of the biggest things that helped you change your mindset? Was there any like books you read? Was it just reading like different articles from sports scientists? Like when you were on that
Uh,
path on your own, like what did
hmm.
you find?
Okay, I need to think about this one. I don't know. I don't really read books. I mostly do like book summaries or articles, if anything, or videos, mostly videos. That's my thing.
There's like sick
Because
YouTube content out there, man. There's like some really
yeah,
good
oh man,
good
that's
stuff.
a lot. Yeah, but so there's so much of this content and it's difficult to pinpoint one thing. But like right now, I'm super into this like regularity and like routine. I think that's super good. Uh, but there's so many tricks that I still, I need to figure out. There's so many tricks that, they are not used in esports at all, and
Yeah.
could be like there's nothing game changing, Well, I mean, it is game changing, but it's nothing so out of this world that you're gonna start winning everything. But there are things that might really improve the performance, in esports, I think.
It's like a 1% here, half a percent
Yeah,
there, but it all adds
yeah,
up, right?
exactly.
Forming rituals, right? Like you're talking there about like, getting your daily rhythm down and stuff. Something you hear people in sports talk about a lot is like they've got their ritual. I don't know, it'd be like a football player. He's got his like lucky rabbit's foot. He always like kisses it and does like a weird thing right before a
Yeah.
play. You'll see Nadal. I reckon Nadal for him, if he tried to stop picking his undies out of his butt before he went to like serve in tennis, I think Nadal would play like shit. It's like part of his like it gets him in the zone. It's like you see a tennis player bouncing the ball and there's some sort of like
Yeah.
routine going on, and it kind
Well,
of
it's not
gets you in that.
exactly about
Yeah,
this, like, it's not exactly about this, like, super strange habits that they have. It's mostly about daily routine that you follow, so you're efficient, and you're like, let's say you
Yeah.
practice every day at the same time for the same amount of time, right?
Yeah.
Or you wake up at the same time and you go sleep at the same time. You eat at the same times throughout the day, like those type of things, like those super
It's
rather.
habit building, right? It's so huge. You can
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
you can kind of grind really hard without having to fight like the mental resistance of
yeah,
being
yeah.
lazy every day, right?
For example, before, and probably most of pro gamers have that, right? That they want to practice right now, but they got hungry for some reason, and now, but they don't have food in the fridge, so they need to go shopping, and now they don't practice for the next 3 hours. So what about you buy the food the previous day, like you'd always do? You prepare the food for the whole day, and now just eat at the time, practice for the next 2 hours, like you planned, then eat after that, practice for 2 hours, and yeah, and that this type of, like, just be prepared for everything, have a habit. I think
Did,
at least that's my, like, that's where I'm going, and that's what I'm trying to have.
Awesome. So, I mean, obviously, habits and doing this sort of stuff, it's never perfect and things change. But right now, what's a perfect morning look like for you? If you weren't on this call with me right now, like, what's the first couple of hours getting up to your first
Okay,
practice
so
session look like?
I'm trying a couple ideas, but generally, like, wake up 9 a.m. or, yeah, 9 a.m. Mm, get, water, drink water, make breakfast, take a shower.
What do you eat for breakfast?
Usually eggs, so scrambled eggs or eggs, like hard boiled.
On toast or like just on its own?
Banana, maybe some oats, this type of stuff.
It's good food, man.
Then and then well, it depends. For example, sometimes I can go for a run before breakfast. Sometimes I can just eat this breakfast. So that was my routine before the corona. So I would eat the breakfast, I would sit on PC, I would it depends if I'm in a mood to practice or not. I mean, in a perfect world, I would go on a PC and practice for like 1 hour after eating breakfast, and then I would go gym. That's the perfect world. But usually it's like I sit on the PC and, I check email, I watch some YouTube videos, I digest breakfast, and then I go gym. That was the routine. And then after I come back gym, I eat lunch, I practice for 4 hours or whatever. Well, after lunch, I actually have breakfast usually. But after the break, I practice for 4 hours. Then I have a break and then practice for, let's say, 2 hours, and then it's finished.
Do you
That's
find
the
like
perfect world.
that's the perfect world? And then obviously once you're finished, it's like just free time, play Dota, hang with the boys, whatever.
Yeah, after 10 p.m. At 10 p.m. Okay. So yeah, so I practice for, let's say, 2 hours again, and then 10 p.m. I call with boys and I play Dota for 2 hours until and at 12 a.m. I go sleep.
Awesome. This is really good. I think I have to get Drogo on the show next to talk to someone who's a bit more of a waste man and get the other side of pro gaming. He's
I
always
think a lot of pro
yeah.
gamers have similar type of thing. At least Hearthstone, Lambo. I think because that's the people I play with always. 10 p.m., 12 a.m. It's like we play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a practice session look like? Is it do you analyze replays and watch VODs sometimes in that 4 hours of practice, or is it all ladder and customs?
Mm, well, mostly ladder and customs, but I do think there should be 1 hour of analysis a day, something like that. I think so exactly.
Yeah.
So as I said in the plan, generally speaking, with the breakfast, I think I should be watching replays right now. I think that's the world. That's the perfect world. Maybe in the future I'm gonna do that. Like
Yeah.
I was doing in the past for the like recent tournaments like Katowice or BlizzCon. I was having Matis to do analysis with me. Like he would do analysis for me, and kind of we would talk through it, and we would do it exactly at the breakfast at 10 a.m. till like 11. We would kind of watch replays together. We would talk about strategy, and then I would go gym after the analysis, come back and practice, something like that.
That's kind of good. It gets your mind in the right space. I think it's really interesting because it's hard just to get the good routines down, right? But then there's also like building these little good patterns, right? Like making sure you get that replay
I mean,
analysis
there's so many
in.
ideas, and I think there's like People say there's many different good ways to do it, but I think there's probably like one good way to do it. There's probably like one way, and you just need to test it, because I don't know if analysis in the morning, the first thing in the morning, is the right thing, or would it be better to like warm up your hands and play for 1 hour? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but there's probably one good way, there's probably one. And is it better to do analysis in the morning or in the evening, before sleep, or right after waking up? Like, I don't fucking know. If you, like, my coaches say
Yeah.
that it's probably in the morning. For example, my CS:GO team does analysis in the morning, because I don't know, like, brain works better or something. But I
And
don't know.
it gets you ready for the day as well, right? Puts your mind. So then when you're practicing, you're focused on the right things, I guess. But it's kind of hard to choose. And it's something that's so interesting. So something I have always struggled with is, for me, I would say I'm quite good at analyzing and fixing something once I'm really bad at it, right? So like when I was playing, it's like if I'm really trash against Protoss, I'd hit the point where I'm really bad against Protoss, and then I'd go on like a deep analysis of like learning new styles and watching VODs and asking other players for help and customs. But sometimes, if I was going well on ladder, I would be lazier with replay analysis and like lazier with that stuff, right? So for me, it was always kind of bad because there'd always be like, if I'd be at good performance, I'd be very bad at maintaining that good performance and continuing to go up. So it'd be very up and
Yeah.
down, right? Like that was always a big challenge for me. So other than trying to build in like a daily habit, do you think it's kind of the same for you? Is it being like after a hard tournament loss, you go really deep on the analysis and the kind of that side of watching replays, or after a big tournament, like you said with Matiz?
Well, maybe something like that. I think in the past, maybe that was the case. Like, if I had very good results, then I would just relax and just chill. And after a bad one, maybe a bit more, I would look into the losses and stuff like that. But these days, it's
Bit
mostly
more,
the same. Mostly the same. I
yeah.
try to not get depressed after losing, and and after winning, do the same. And I don't win that much recently, to be honest, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But it's not that bad. But I generally speaking do analysis after the matches, because it's like I don't win tournaments, so there's always something to check.
Yeah, I mean, StarCraft in 2020 is insanely competitive.
I've been there. It's harder than it ever was. Like, I'm telling, like,
Yeah,
the boys. It's really next fucking level. The Raynors and Serals and Maru, like, it's
dude.
different level than it was. Absolutely.
Oh, I was watching the Clem Raynor match, the finals of the sold out Wardy tournament, and it's like because I watch Raynor make people look lower level than him, where you're like, oh, he makes them look like they don't know what they're doing sometimes, and there was like Clem was kind of making Raynor look that way in some of those maps, and I was like,
I
shit,
mean,
he's,
just
he's so fast, man. He's so
I mean,
fast. He does so many things.
yeah, yeah. And well, I think Raynor is just straight up mechanical monster, but at the top level with like Lambo and all the Protoss players, and besides Raynor, because Raynor is straight up just mechanical monster, but most people just have this attention to detail right now. It's insane. Like the build orders, everyone knows what build order counters what. Like, because Legacy of the Void has been out for like 5 years,
Mm.
everything has been figured out. All the openings, there's like no cheeses. The cheeses that work, it's uh,
You
like,
know,
if let's say I
yeah.
play Maru, like, I don't know, like, there are cheeses that can surprise you, right? Like, I hope you don't know the response, but if I play Maru, like, he probably knows the every fucking response. Like, I don't think there's any trick. There's probably is. It
But
just,
there's
I
less.
won't risk it. I won't
Yeah.
risk it. I won't risk an opening like this, because he will probably know it, unless, like, I don't know. And then I see Rogue, use a cheese from 2 years ago. It works. It's like, good for you, but I would not risk it.
Well, I was just thinking about, I'm like, sweet, I get to talk to Elazer today. I was jogging before and I was like, what cool games have I seen from you recently? I was thinking about how Trap clearly didn't know how to stop the Elazer special
Yeah,
Ravager Queen
yeah,
Ling push,
exactly.
man. That is
Yeah, so
that
those
is
are the
yeah. I was
those are
surprised
the
because it was
tricks.
2 games in a row, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, I saw exactly what he does. Like, yeah, he cannot defend it. Like, he will not defend it, and just 2 games in a row, bam, bam. very fast. I didn't plan it in second game, but then I saw in his opening he blocked my third base. It was nitrate, so there's two third base I can take. He blocked my like inner like triangle third base, and he forced me to take the front third base. And I realized he's playing Stargate again. So I'm like, okay, you're not gonna defend it. I'm just going again, and bam.
Your creep
Obviously, that,
highway is like so far forward already.
yeah, because the
Triple
creep goes
oracle.
faster. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
and
expected him to like after first game, I expected him to switch up, go Twilight or something, but he didn't. He went Stargate again, and I'm like, okay, because I saw him
yeah.
defend it. Because he thinks so. I'm gonna be a bit more specific here. So this push, generally speaking, is played on like 4 or 5 queens.
Yeah.
And I always see a trap played with Oracle defense, because with Mass Oracle, you can defend against 4 queens. But I see that as like, well, I'm doing with 6 queens, and Oracles cannot defend this, like straight up. Oracle defense doesn't work. And that's all he knows. He knows only one defense. So I'm like, okay, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
And
man.
that's the attention to detail these days. It's like there are so many build orders and like so many, like very little stuff that, like I know I will counter Mass Oracle, and I know what I want to counter with this build. So you can prepare very well. The Terran players, they like don't lose their banshees, and they know where to be with their banshees later on in the game to like prevent run buys or deny your fifth base. Like those very little things that matter.
Yeah, dude, people have gotten so good with their banshees. I've been super critical of it, and I'm slowly coming around. I still think there's players who are like really good in macro games where maybe banshee is used a bit too much, whereas I think it's like if you're worried about an all-in from the Zerg, I think it's a very, very good opening. But players have gotten so good, like nobody just throws their Banshee away anymore. I feel like people used to lose the Banshees, but now it's like every time the Hellions distract the Zerg, they come in, kill 4 drones, pull back. Come back, kill like 10 creep tumors, go back, kill another 4 drones. Come back, deny the 4th base as soon as it goes down, and I'm like, okay, 2 Banshees is actually pretty good if you can do this every game.
No, yeah. If you play them well, they are insane. Every single unit of Terran is insane if you played it well. We're playing. I will be honest, they still lose it very often, especially in Europe. It's like I play versus them. It's like, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't lose them, and then they whine. Zerg is imbalance. I'm like, man, you lost 6 millions for free, and the suicided 2 banshees in the spore. You like, okay, you lost in late game, but your opening was not very good. Stuff like that. It's annoying me.
I don't know. Like I feel like if you're not gonna execute to like the tip top, if you're not executing Clam Maru level every game, like Banshee is very dicey because it's so bad if you don't use it super well, right? Like
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Exactly, that's a lie. Because what they do is they get to banshees,
yeah.
they suicide them for 10 drones. And it's like, and people say, oh, that's big damage. Well, he lost 2 banshees, but that's big damage. Like, no, that's not. It's better to have 2 banshees and don't suicide them at all and just leave them at the edge of the creep or at your 4th base, deny the 4th base, deny the creep, and later on your timing attack is going to be 2 times stronger because there's no creep, and then you can go back with 2 banshees and prevent the run bys and just have like this big strategical advantage.
All right. Well,
Instead, they kill 7 drones and they are happy. Oh, I dealt so much damage. Why do I lose versus Zerg? Like, whoa, man, that's not true at all.
this is especially true for you because you are the master of taking drone losses. Like there are games I've been watching. I'm like, man, this is getting dicey. This is getting dicey. Elazer's lost too many drones, and I look at the worker count, and you're on 74 workers, and I'm like, what? Like,
No,
how?
I don't know if I'm a master of taking this, but it's like if they like I always come to think of it like, well, okay, I lose drones, but as long as they sacrifice units for those
Exactly.
drones, then it's all right. It's just if they kill drones for free and they go away, then okay, like I'm in a bad position right now. But like they send 2 adepts in, they kill 5 drones, lose 2 others, and they think they are ahead. It's like not really. That's an even trade.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly ahead, but I will use like you lost 2 adepts, and I will abuse that you lost 2 adepts. I will go counterattack with Zerglings, and I will regain the like advantage that I lost. And if you don't lose those 2 adepts, I'm just 5 drones behind, and GG. So it's better to come with 2 banshees, kill 4 drones, and run away with them. And now you're ahead, like straight up, like far ahead.
That's like
But
the
they always lose. They always lose the banshees now.
that's the thing. I think like the higher level you go down the tree of StarCraft, right? Like it always starts at a base level when there's a new expansion or a huge balance changes, right? People start, it's like, oh, I can do this, and you need to get tanks to beat that, right? But then there's always like the next level of like, wait. If they have the defense for it, I can still not commit, but I can stay out of tank range, pick off the depots with my Ravagers. Like it's the same example, right? The Banshees, you learn how to recognize very quickly. They got the defense, just pull back and just pick away at the edges. And like when you look at the highest level games now, I'm so impressed by how much of that there is, right? Whether it be Marines coming in and picking off tumors and pulling back at just the right time. Like you get this insane, I think, ability for pro players to recognize when to commit and when to pull out. And, just in instant, right? Because you have to make this off just a frame. You just get a snapshot of the screen and you've got to commit one way or the other. And I think it's always kind of funny when I see average Joe players or, Masters 1, whoever, and he's just beeline copying Maru's build or someone's build. And like, well, the Zerg's kind of bad and has more units and not enough drones, but he like runs all his Marines in and commits to the attack when it makes no sense to do it. Then he's like, this fight doesn't work. And it's like,
there's a Platinum Zerg that has more units than Rogue, and you really need to, okay, that doesn't work.
He's better than Rogue, man. That must be it. He's got 30 drones on a base less, but like,
I also want to say like the thing Terran players whine, right? Like there's another funny example. They have 2 medivacs and they fly into 7 queens. They lose 2 medivacs and they go like, oh my god, queens have too much range. Oh, that's so broken, right? But like, you know how much range it has. So why the fuck do you fly in with the medivacs? Just play something else. Just, attack somewhere else, or just don't attack at all. If you know how much queens how much range they have, it's better to just not fly in with the medivacs and you'll be ahead or something. Just flying in is a bad move against queens. That's it.
Well, that's the slippery slope. Once you start focusing on the things that I have actually been talking about, how I would like to see things like queen range reduced. I had a whole show about balance, which I'm not really interested in talking about today because I've talked about it a lot recently. But the moment you're playing games and you're focusing on balance, it's like the whole way of playing good. Yeah, no bueno, exactly, man. Like the whole thing you got to do in StarCraft, right? As a player, is you've got to, whenever anything changes in the game, you need to reassess. Like you need to understand where the game is and when to, like, this is what we're talking about, like the when to commit, when to pull back, when to swap into more economy in another base, when to go all in, right? The moment you're thinking about balance, man, like that critical thinking shuts down. Like I feel like if at the moment I'm angry about they have the unfair units, Storm's bullshit, Immortals are bullshit, whatever it is, that's when I play bad StarCraft.
You really need to think about it. Like I cannot just run in with the roaches into siege tank. Say siege tank have too much damage. Like no. Think about it normally. It's like you shouldn't run with the roaches into siege tanks, and then you wouldn't even whine because you wouldn't have a problem, right? Just go somewhere else, get Vipers, get Ravagers, maybe get something else. Just don't run with the roaches into tanks, because that's one thing where siege tanks are gonna demolish you absolutely, and it's not imbalanced. It's something you shouldn't do. And that's the thing, for sure.
Do you find you get into that mindset at all? I know in the past you kind of would follow Nurchio's views about Protoss a bit. Like, do you think there's been any turning points or evolutions? Is it mostly like you have views, but you keep them separate from your mindset when you're playing?
I mean, I don't think about balance at all. Zero. Yeah. I think, but Protoss was very broken back in. It was. It was broken. The Heart of the Swarm, Mass Blink Stalker era, like. It was impossible to win, so I was whining, but I never was like a big whiner, I think.
What was I'm sure someone's gonna find. Actually, I just remember there was the Marjorie build with meta. That was the last time we heard you.
That was also.
Your interview. Yeah, objectively imbalanced. That was just such a good quote.
No, but there are things that I do think are like. Yeah. Like this is a bit stupid, but. Listen, I would, generally speaking, I would not whine about it in public. I can message like Blizzard about it, like when like, this is a bit, this is like for sure. I tried everything. It's defendable. It's okay. So you don't have to nerf it, but I think it should be a bit weaker. That's what I say. Yeah. For example, right now there's this like Glaive build from Protoss that's like so insanely strong, and I'm like, well. On some maps, it's almost impossible to defend. It's possible if I play perfect, so it's fine. But I think there should be a bit bigger margin of error, and that's all I think. Because I do think it's all defendable, but
Yeah.
sometimes the margin of error is just so small that I think it's unfair. I
Yep.
wouldn't say imbalance not, but it's just a bit unfair towards other races like PVT again. Like I don't know how PVT exactly works, but sometimes it looks like, whoa, okay, Protoss just like phew, A moves through the Terran, and it looks like maybe it is balanced. I think Maru will destroy this Protoss for sure. Like if Terran plays very well, I just think maybe it takes a bit more skill from Terran to actually try to win, or
Hmm.
like it's harder at lower level. It's harder to play for Terran than Protoss. So there should be something. Like I think it would be more fun for the game, more fun for the players. But if I see a Terran fucking whining about, I get angry because I think like just watch Maru and Maru would actually win this one. So
Yeah.
I don't think you should whine. I think whining is the most stupid thing. But message Blizzard about it. Don't write tweets. Just message Blizzard about it. That's what I think.
I kind of like that idea. It's like you can still try to make change happen without just trying to spread the anger. Like I always tell people, every now and then someone comes in my chat and they're like, oh, I want you to agree with me that like this thing's broken and it should be removed or something. And I'm like, dude, like I get we all have to vent. Like when I used to play super competitively, I'd go in my Skype group and I'd be like, fuck, the Immortals are bullshit. Like, I'd whine about stuff, but like it's like an outlet, like with people I know who are gonna listen to me. And when I calm down, they're gonna tell me like,
Yeah.
stop being a whiny bitch and and stop floating 1,000 minerals or all the things you're doing wrong. So like it's one of those things where it's like there's a difference between tweeting at Blizzard and that sort of stuff, and like spreading that toxicity and letting it become part of who you are, which I assume is like all these people who have no clan they're in. They don't play tournaments, but they hang out in the big tournament chats complaining about balance. And I'm like,
Yeah.
who are these 10,000 people that only appear for big tournaments and all they do is whine about the other races? Like, that's it.
Yeah. Like I mean, we're playing an esport, right? A competitive game. Every single competitive game, like everything is even. Everything is even, right? Like in League of Legends, Counter Strike, everything is even. StarCraft is the only game that's different. You have 3 races, and it just would not make sense to play this game if the races are actually imbalanced. Like if the races are imbalanced, like this is not an esport. This is not a sport at all. If that's where we're going, because the chances are uneven, and it should never be like an Olympic game, for example. It shouldn't be because the chances are imbalanced. You cannot play it. So we all need to assume this is balanced, and you need to believe it, every single one of us, if we want to make this game like big, right? Like in the future, for example, if you want this to be an Olympic sport, we all need to believe the chances are even. Otherwise, we will have maybe we'll have a strategy game in the future, but we will only have one race in that game
Yeah.
because there's no chance for something like this. So first of all, we need to, and I do believe like the chances are even, no matter what, no matter how, like even if Protoss has 100% win ratio, I would believe this is like even chance. Just I need to play better, but I can give suggestions to Blizzard to change things. But yeah, like when there are like people that, like those Terran players, like they get me inside, drive me. When they fucking tweet, man, if I was a Zerg player, I would be winning all the tournaments, but I'm Terran player and I'm a 6K MMR. It's like, yeah, okay, all right. But, you know, like, it's so annoying, so annoying.
Yeah, it's a weird thing people slide into there where it starts to get and I think it's partially because in the past Blizzard has changed things and people think it's because of community sentiment, whether it is or isn't. I'm sure it's also because Blizzard for a while has been so they kind of swapped to like, hey, we didn't listen or talk to the community at all, and then they kind of swapped to this view where they were like, every post was like, we have been taking feedback and we care about what you say. We've been closely monitoring the BattleNet forums where there's been a lot of intelligent discussion and we're hearing what you guys say. And you're reading these, you're like, are you guys serious? Don't give that much power and respect to the fans. And they're like, oh, the next post 2 weeks later, like, well, everybody was angry about this thing, so we took it back. And so there's been this relationship where change happens. So people actually think by shouting into the void of chat, they are making change happen and making, the complaints and stuff. And you look at Brood War, where obviously none of that was going to happen. All they could do was balance it through the maps, which it kind of worked. But, there was years apparently, and I'm not like a hardcore Brood War fan, so people can correct me on this, but I've heard from Tastosis and others that Protoss versus Zerg, I think it was, or like Protoss in general, their win rate was like 42% or 41% for like
For Protoss?
4 or 5 years in Brood War. Yeah, like their overall pro win rate was like,
Yeah.
if we got down to 45% for a race, people would be burning the friggin' house down in StarCraft 2. They would be like, it's been 3, like I see people that are like the latest Aligulac period, which is like 2 weeks or something. They're like, we're down to 47%, and this is unacceptable. This is so unfair. Like people get crazy about it. And in Brood War, people are like, well, nothing's gonna change. So I mean, like, I'll call my opponent a piece of shit for playing Protoss, but I'm not. Like, this is the game, and that's how it is.
Yeah, then I just need to figure out a way to play, right? There's still like 45% of players that are winning.
Exactly, right?
So,
It's still a skill-based game, man.
yeah.
This is probably a good point to take the conversation in different paths. We don't want to get bogged down and just talking about balance, but always kind of funny to discuss that. Chat's got some interesting questions. None of those make the cut, guys. They were Elazer was in chat seeing if I would ask questions when the Q&A starts. I said only if they're exceptional. And we've got a whole bunch of questions about what color underwear you're wearing and that sort of thing. So we're going to skip right past those, chat. But what we are going to do is ask you actually about the beginning of your pro career and take a little trip down memory lane. So I have memories of a young little Elazer at WCS 2015. I think you were 17 back then.
I don't know. But probably. I'm
think
22 now, so.
Had you ever I think that was your first time in Premier League, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, I mean, there was a lot of a journey there. I mean, how long had you been playing competitively? Was it from the start of Wings? Like, when did you get GM?
Well, so exactly. Let me check my pro. But,
Bring it
I've
up.
been playing StarCraft since the first day it got released. I didn't know there's esports.
Yeah.
I had no clue. I didn't know I'm gonna play 1v1. I thought I'm gonna play campaign first and then play some 2v2s. And then I realized that maybe I don't know, maybe 1 year into the game or 2 years that there's esports. Let me check career summary. I will check.
Do you remember?
Liberty, so.
Yeah. Do you remember a specific like pro match or like a pro player in the very early days where you're like, whoa, this is really cool?
I remember a couple of things. I remember one of the first time ever I watched a pro tournament was I remember I was like Diamond League already. No, I wasn't. I don't remember. Okay, but whatever. I had already a couple of friends on StarCraft, so I met some people online. They were my age, and we were kind of like playing with each other, like arcade games, 2v2s and stuff like that. And then one of my friends linked me a tournament and said like a Polish player is playing a tournament. Like, okay, what is this? And it was a home story cup. It was Nerd Show winning a home story cup.
Oh shit!
I don't remember what year that was.
I'll find it here while we talk about it. So
one of the first tournaments I ever watched.
Were you already a Zerg player at that point?
Not sure. Maybe Protoss player.
Ah, okay. And what rank do you think you would have been around then? Were you?
No, so I'm telling you, 2010 I was Platinum League, wait, let me see one of you. 2010 I was Platinum League, 2011 I was Platinum League, and then at the start of 2011 I switched to Zerg. I dropped to Silver League. I think I was leaving games on purpose to get like normal MMR with Zerg because back then there was no shared, it was shared MMR. So I purposely dropped to Silver League with Zerg, and then at the end of 2011 I was Diamond League with Zerg. At the start of 2012 I was Master League.
Yeah.
And then whole 2012 2013 I was Master League, but I was playing I think all the time, or at that time already.
Okay.
Like I was playing. So 2000. Okay, so I started playing 2010, and around 2012 I got it like really into. That's I think the truth.
Yeah, that home story cup you watched was Nurture versus Yonghua in the finals. The players like Golden, Slivka, Hasselhoff's MC, 2012 July home story cup number 5, I believe.
So that makes sense. So I think maybe I watched something before that. As I said, like
Yeah.
I think middle of 2011 I got into StarCraft like a lot, and I think I never stopped playing after that. Like middle of 2011 and beginning of 2012 I got Master League, and middle of 2013 I was Grandmaster in Heart of the Swarm. Yeah.
Oh damn. I mean, you're currently 22 years old. We actually,
Yeah.
according to Wikipedia, share the same birthday. December 11, is that right?
Yes. You
Oh
too?
yeah, we do have the exact same birthday. I forgot about
Oh,
that.
that's sick. Yeah, nice. I didn't know.
A casual 9-year age difference though. So yeah, so you got into it, I think 2014 you started actually making your name known. So I guess 2013 was kind of like the GM to semi-pro kind of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see like my ranks. Okay, so 2013 season 4 is rank 179. 2013 season 5 is 91. 2013 season 6 is 116. And 2014 season 1 is 81. And 2014 season 2 is 35. GM.
Damn. So you were so yeah, so
That's quite fast.
that's pretty damn impressive, man. And you kind of climbed up there. So 2014 you kind of went to your first DreamHack. Was Valencia your first offline tournament? It's in your results. I was looking that up and I was like,
yes,
yeah.
must have been first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even before Polish lands, it was the first ever.
Oh, really? You hadn't even been to a local?
No, second event, second event ever.
You live in Warsaw?
Yes. But so first I went to Netherlands before I ever qualified for WCS.
Oh, really?
With 80 Gaming, right? To meet with the guys from 80 Gaming, because I don't know. I had a trip with my parents, I think, somewhere to Belgium or something. And then we went into Holland to play in some LAN there. So I played there. So the funny story is that we had a solo competition and a team competition there, but I didn't qualify for a solo competition, so I just went there to meet with my friends and play the team competition. And from my team, I was the only one to win a map.
Hey.
And I was not the best player there at all, because there was people like Agaham, Yona, I think Uterma, Hars, and people like that. But I don't remember. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember that time around like 2014 when I went Valencia. That was like the first event kind of I ever went to, like seriously. I got destroyed by Tefel Tefel. I lost to Tefel, I think.
Yeah, it says you.
And
you
it was the first time I met Nercho back there. I met with Tefel.
It says you lost to Tefel, unfortunately, in a rematch, beat Penguin. I mean, that's kind of cool though, because was it 3 years later you won Valencia? So that's kind of cool to have like your first LAN into your first big LAN championship, right? At the exact same event.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that.
You're just like, whatever. Cool, man.
I don't know.
I mean, what was that? What was the early days like? So that was a kind of interesting time where people were already shouting dead game as you were coming up the ranks a little bit. Like it was starting to get bad around then. But the game was still huge. Like, and there was WCS obviously in the Cologne studio and stuff. You started to get better and better. I remember talking to you at Premiere that first time and asking you about like your play style and stuff. And I remember you telling me, and you described yourself, you're like, I'm European life. That's how you described yourself. You're like, I just like to run links in mineral lines, be really aggressive. I was like, that's fucking cool. And you were really confident for you were very young at the time, but I always remember you being super confident despite being very new to like that level of competition.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I mean, first of all, I was big fan. To me, he was the best player ever, but after what he did, it's a bit fucked up. I still think he was insane skill-wise. I mean, I'm not denying that.
One of the greatest of all time, undeniably. Like he.
Yeah, and I mean, he was young. Like, who knows what would happen into Legacy of the Void when Zerg actually got really good in Legacy. It was terrible in Heart of the Swarm. It was terrible. It was really the worst race by far.
It struggled, man.
He still was like the only Zerg that was winning and being a world champ. So imagine going into Legacy of the Void where the game got faster. It would fit his style, I think. Like the guy would be like the best by far. Like,
Yeah, I mean he's a player. We've seen him like literally drunk in the booth, beating like other top tier competitors and just
he was
laughing.
better than. I mean, because Rogue and Dark, it's not like they were kids back then. I mean, Dark and Rogue were playing. It just life was so much better than them, so much better. He was by far the best Zerg, and he was what? Was he older? He was younger than them, I think.
Yeah, no,
He's younger than Dark
he's
and
younger.
Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dark is younger than I realize. I don't know why I always think Dark is a bit older. But I mean,
It's like 25, I think.
he was
I don't know.
14 when he Royal Roaded GSL. Life was maybe he'd just turned 15, and like he went through first time in Code S, beats MVP in the finals, beating Blue Flame Hellion Mech with Zerglings into Infestors. And I was like,
Yeah, I mean, life would be, the best life. I think, I don't know, not go away. Like, he would be, I think, the best Zerg till today, probably. Unless something stupid would happen, because he was so fast, so good. I don't know.
yeah, he's 23 years old, so he's actually just a year younger
Just
than Dark, a couple
he's
years younger than Rogue.
like he's just a little bit older, and he
Yeah.
was doing everything like 5 years ago. Like, holy shit.
It's actually crazy, dude. I got to watch his championship live. I was over in Korea at the time, and I remember just being like stunned. It was insane. I remember heaps of people wanted him to lose as well, because everyone was like, "How MVP is the king? He's the best." And in every interview, Life was like, "This guy's shit. I'm gonna smash him." Before every group stage and GSL and stuff, he's like, "I'm gonna smash them. They're all bad." Like, because he shit talked as well, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's so cocky. He's disrespectful towards the more experienced, better players." Obviously it turned out he was like no fucks given, disrespectful to everybody and everything. In the end, he went way too far with it. Obviously got caught up in a spiral, but he was like one of those truly special StarCraft players where you're just like, just insane talent. Like, just, I kind of like Raynor, I get like a little bit of life, but it's still not quite the same. Maybe it's just because everyone was not at that level then. I think at that time it was
probably it was not the same. I think life was like Raynor, but 6 years ago.
when everyone was slower.
Everyone were slower, and those run bys actually were going every single time because people were just not as experienced with the game. And right now, like the reaction time, the wall, everything better, right?
Yeah, he would not get his Zerglings in quite as much, I don't think. But I'm sure he'd have other ways of creating chaos. Like, he'd be flying drops into mineral lines, ling backstabs, banelings rolling into probes. Like, very, very cool.
Yeah.
So you kind of looked up to him. I think a lot of us did, who were Zerg players at the time. You came down
For sure.
Man, that was such an emotional Premier League for you. Obviously, there's a lot of hard losses over a career. There's a lot of highs.
There were two Premier Leagues that I played. One was where I lost to like Told, I think, and TLO or something like that. So that was
that was the first one. It was the second one. It was for WCS season 3, where the finals were in Poland, and you really wanted to win so you could go play in Poland.
That was so terrible, and that was so fucking Protoss, man. It was because I don't think I could have done much because it was 4-player map, and I scouted like last or something.
Yeah,
like there was not much I could have done. It was fucking 4-gate as always, and that's what he does.
It was he was one of the most just crazy players. He's actually insanely good at Warcraft 3 right now as well. Just to give people out there listening a bit of perspective, he is the worst kind of opponent because he doesn't give a fuck. Like he's got so little on the line with how he plays, but
he was playing with like no mousepad,
Yeah, no. He was.
I knew I'm 10 times better player than.
I think he was playing. He has a wireless mouse as well. I think that he plays with at home and stuff. And we're like, what? You use a wireless mouse? And he was just trying to find weed the whole time because he's like, I normally play when I'm high on ladder, so I really want to find some weed before I play. I was like, and everyone else is like getting in the zone, getting their practice, getting their builds. You see people getting nervous and trying to get through it, and this kid
I was confident. I knew I'm 10 times better.
And
no mousepad does a 4-gate and it beats me because I don't know, I scout him last player. Maybe this was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, so this was WCS season 3 Premier League round of 32 or 16. I think it was round of 32 because 16 onwards got played in
but
Krakow.
Then he didn't come to the round of 16, so I got replaced and I got to go there anyway. I was
Yeah,
so
because
happy.
he had an exam or something. But I mean,
Yeah.
just to rewind for a second, a lot of people didn't like you for a while because this was one of your first big stage things. I'm not sure if you remember this because you refused to shake his hand, and what they didn't see on camera, what we saw is you were crying because you were devastated. You wanted to win
But I
so
shook his
badly.
hand. I
You
shook his
did,
hand.
but they didn't catch it on camera. I don't think, or they did, but not at first. So like because basically the camera went to you and your chair was just turned away,
Yeah.
and he was coming over and like trying to shake your hand, but the stream and everyone watching, there was like 30,000, 40,000, however many people, there was a lot of people watching WCS back then, even on a round of 32 broadcast, and they just, everyone was like, oh, Elazer's like turned his chair away as he's walked over and being like, fuck you,
Yeah.
dickhead, you forgated me, I'm not going to shake your hand. And I remember for like 6 months everyone was like, I don't like that Elazer guy, he's a dick, he didn't.
I don't
Yeah.
think they didn't like me. I didn't think about people don't liking me at all. I didn't realize that.
It was like a bunch of
A lot,
very
a
casual
lot of
fans who had a bad
a lot of
impression.
a lot of like very stupid people were just like messaging me that I don't know, I'm a crybaby or something, but
Oh my
you know
god.
it didn't really touch me.
That's
No,
good.
I mean
But
that's the I mean I don't care really. It's
no.
whatever.
I mean, but speaking of that, have there been any other defeats that were as bad as that? Because one of the big things that
No,
interests me.
that one was probably top one, probably. But I was also the youngest and one of the first one, so that one was fucking horrible.
Can you obviously you were so inexperienced at the time as well. Do you think you ever watched the VOD or went back? Because like no, I'm really big
No,
on how we should go back and learn from our losses, but that seems like
no,
one like
maybe no.
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
you
think I
never
watched the
watched that.
games.
Yeah.
Maybe once. No, maybe I once watched. I don't remember. I mean, it was what 5 years ago.
It's 5 years ago. So one day you should have a beer now when it's far enough away that it won't hurt anymore or not as
No,
much. You
I
should have a
will not
beer and
watch it.
watch
I
the
will
VOD,
not.
man.
Now I will not watch it. But back then I think I did. Like maybe once. Maybe like 1 month after the games I lost. I think maybe I watched it. But now I don't want to. Fuck it. I
My
don't want to
man.
see it again.
What's your process like? It's a loss in a tournament, but especially if it's a hard loss or a one where it's even a regular loss, is there a process you go through now? Is it kind of a few days later you just go back watch the VODs from a whole tournament? Like what's that whole post tournament breakdown look like?
Yeah. Well, I generally speaking try to kind of. Well, I don't watch the game, but I like to talk about the game with people that watch the game after the game, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, I play a tournament at Katowice. I
Yeah.
lose to, let's say, Innovation. So after the game, I kind of don't like. I have the game still in my mind. I don't want to fucking watch it after I lost game. I lost like that. But I like to ask other pro gamers like when I was ahead, I threw the game, and they tell me like, well, you attacked this planetary, and that was that's where you threw the game. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I thought, and so that's what I do usually. That's very common for me. But if
Yeah.
not that, then generally after the tournament, I go through the replays a couple days after the tournament.
I think
I
like
watch like a lot of
yeah.
a lot of replays because I just check like replay pack from the tournament and I just watch all the players. Yeah.
Is there anything different you do if you really throw a game, or you make a very big? So like basically, there's a few that the hardest things for me to deal with back when I was playing was if I just got too tense and stopped multitasking and just like just let shit kill mineral lines without pulling drones away. So misexecution under pressure, and the other one was just like really big throws where like my whole mentality would fall apart under pressure. Like so if you really throw a game, and maybe you can think of an example to help describe this, but is there any process to try to go back to like, wait, how did you get to the mental state? Like what
Right.
pushed you to the point where you were making such bad decisions? Because that's kind of hard to understand, I think, like why you do dumb
Yeah,
things in a tournament.
I've had a match like this against. I don't want to say the wrong name, but it was like Haas or somebody maybe even worse. like like there was some Protoss, like very bad level, right? We're talking like 6K. I'm like almost 7K MMR, almost 1K difference. It was like DreamHack, maybe Montreal. No, not like okay, whatever. It's a DreamHack. It's like round of 30 stage, and I land in a decider match. And it's best of 3, so like no real room for mistakes. Maybe I can drop one game, but that's it. I play versus this Protoss. I win one game and I lose one game to some cheese, right? So like DT, maybe fast DTs. And then I'm playing versus this guy that's 1000 MMR below. But I'm one game out away from losing the tournament, so zero room for a mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm playing versus this guy, and obviously, like the guy is playing super stupid strategies. We're talking, 2 base all-ins against a Zerg player as Protoss. It's not supposed to work. But my hands are shaking. Like I actually cannot micro. My hands are freezing, and I'm just watching. Sometimes I'm going into a fight with like I have 30 roaches. The guy has army that should die to 30 roaches, but I'm just moving my roaches and I'm just watching the fight. I'm not microing because every time I touch it, I just move command and I like only fuck up my roaches because I cannot control at all at that point. So I prefer to not touch anything at all and just watch the army fight. But my army is dying, and those and I still won this game. So thank God. Okay, but we're talking like I'm just watching my army die, and I cannot do anything because I'm so scared that if I lose, like I'm out of the tournament. I need to win this because I'm fighting for BlizzCon or something. So this is so important, and so super scary stuff. And I don't know.
That's painful, man. That's like such a scary moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're playing versus a guy that you're supposed to beat with one hand, and like you cannot do anything. You're just watching the screen. But
So what did
that was like
yeah.
one of only games where I was so scared.
So what did you like learn from that game? Was there something like that you changed in your mindset? Was it just like taking a deep breath and calming the fuck down and not worrying that you're one game away from losing the tournament? Like,
yeah. I mean, you need to try stuff like that. Just a lot of techniques to calm down, a lot of tricks to calm down. Just figure, just do some of those that you know.
Have
There's a lot of ways you can I don't know.
Yeah.
Workout. I don't know. Do some cardio before it. Maybe it will calm you down. Maybe meditate. Maybe breaths.
Yeah, there's like a lot of different things, right? So is there any one thing that you found has worked for you, or anything you tell yourself before, like at one of those intense moments in a series or a tournament?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things I do. Like these days I think I'm way smarter than a year ago even. So I think there's a lot of things I would do these days, depending on the situation. But generally, it's like, turn on some music, listen to music, think about what you're gonna do, calm down.
Yeah.
But like recently, I don't even get stressed. So first of all, my mentality is in a place right now where I don't really like shit my pants if I'm playing versus a very bad opponent or something like that. So it's way better right now. Like for example, at Katowice, which is a very important tournament, I was not really stressed almost at all during the games, which was very good.
That's a hard thing to develop over time. As you said, there's so many.
Good because it's it go up and down like this mentality. Like, for example, at the start, I was not very stressed, like you said. Like 2015, I was very confident. I was not really getting stressed. Then 2017, I was getting stressed again a bit. Like 2019, I was getting stressed, and now, again, not getting stressed right now. So it goes up and down. This like mentality, I guess, depending on your results and how you're doing in practice.
Yeah, I think it's hard to keep it going in the right direction, and it's so intense when you train all the time, right? And I always give this comparison. I think just to give some context for someone who's never gone into something where they compete for their livelihood, but it's a zero-sum game. It's win or lose, right? Like it's you can do a good job and still lose, and that's what's so incredibly hard about any sort of sport competition, right?
I listened to Harstem and TLO interviews on your channel actually. Like when you invited me, I watched. You have some interviews with cool people, and I was really interested in what TLO has because I think TLO has a similar mentality to what I have.
Yeah.
Like very like sport oriented stuff right now because I guess like he had also he has I guess close relation with like people in the management, and he had problems with his wrist. So I knew like he has some tricks for sure. And I was also a bit curious what Hearthstone was, but
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
they
Did we talk about negative visualization in either of those? I can't quite remember. But have you ever heard
I
of
don't know.
negative visualization?
I don't know. No, never
Okay,
heard of
so
it.
that's something I really wish I had come across back in the day, because for me, I would have this thing, and I don't know if this is relatable. I doubt it is today. I think you're much more experienced than this now, but maybe in the old days, where I would because when I'm in that high pressure zone, especially one map from losing the tournament, right? When you're down, it's best of three,
Yeah.
you're one game from losing, where I would have the thing where, especially, and I feel like this was always the lead up to that same scenario you described, where your hands, you can't micro, like you're shaking and you can't control your units, and you keep misclicking and giving the wrong commands and move commanding your army through their army, and you accidentally pull all your drones off minerals onto a gas, and you're like, how did that even happen? Like, I don't even know how that happened.
I'm in those situations all the time. That's happened. Like every single game, literally, it just
Dude.
happens.
And you're like, get control, man. I remember feeling like a lot of that was because I would be so afraid. There would be this like fear of the unknown in the game, where anything that would happen would surprise me. Like I would be so caught up in my own head. So I kind of wish I did a little bit of negative visualization in those times, where I sat there before the game and just kind of said, okay, let's think about like the worst case scenarios. Like the three things that would be really fucking annoying, and let's like just play it out in my head a little bit. Think about how shitty that would be if I'm caught off guard by this. Like not just thinking about, oh, if he does the strategy that's good against mine, but let's imagine I go to put down a spore crawler.
Right now, man. I'm getting stressed. I'm actually getting stressed.
Thinking about, imagine you're playing against Oracle, you put down a spore in your main, but it doesn't build because it gets blocked by the drones, and you don't notice until the Oracle flies in. Like, run through my head things like that especially would be the things that would make me panic and lose my shit. If I look at my mineral line and there's a drone standing there that's meant to be a spore crawler and an Oracle is killing my workers.
My pants on the spot. Like, I want to shit my pants on this. I'm so scared. And I'm like, I lost the game. I'm like, oh, like cold shower instantly hits you, you know?
Exactly.
And the same opening of the game, you're so scared. You're so like you're thinking about stuff like, oh my god, he's gonna cannon rush me. And instead of preparing for that, you take your drones and instead of clicking on the mineral, you click them next to the mineral, and they all go. Oh my god, the game is already over. You know, always happens. Always happens.
It's a spiral, right? It's a real spiral. Like, so I wish I'd just kind of given myself a moment before the game to just focus on a bunch of those worst case scenarios. And rather than that being like me slipping off the mountain and going, woo, and getting like more and more tilted and making more and more mistakes, I wish it was something I was just a little bit more mentally prepared for, where I go, oh, that's okay. Like, yeah, it's bad and I might lose, but I know what to do from here. Because like often it wasn't the one silly mistake, right? It would be the 13 more mistakes you make after the one bad mistake, right? If you lose a few extra drones to the Oracle, does it actually end the game? No, but it can end your mindset. And that's the scary thing in StarCraft, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's true.
Hard game.
One Oracle killing 5 drones. I mean, Sarah would win this anyway, right? For sure. So whatever, really. Like when you see those games where you lose 5 Oracle, like, okay, but was it a proxy Oracle? Maybe it was a proxy Stargate, you know? So it's fine to lose 6 drones to that. But some people, even though it's proxy Stargate, they lose like 5 drones and they think, oh, the game is over. And then they start making more mistakes. And then they lose 5 drones more to Adepts. And forget a spore on the third base, so the Oracle kills even more. And, you know, it's just those spiraling mistakes for sure.
Yeah, it's this weird thing, isn't it? Like, if I play someone far above my level now, a lot of what I focus on is just don't freeze up and start playing worse. Because like, if I'm playing someone like Parting on the ladder, or I'm playing Scarlet, I feel like I have to play so much better. And because I'm trying to play so much better, I tunnel vision and 2 Adepts kill 10 workers before I realize. And it's so silly. So, you know, it's kind of funny where I have all these tools, which I wish I could have used back in the day, because I think I was very up and down and emotionally unstable as a player. But it's really cool to see a lot of you kind of develop all this and kind of work together as pro players. So, I mean, obviously, you've been developing a lot of different things. You've been kind of working, looking back on your replays and stuff. Do you actually talk to yourself? I know some people talk to themselves in the booth, or they have like a real, like, they're like, no, we're going to do this, man. Like, let's kick some ass. Do you ever like G yourself up, or do you have like a song you play to get in the groove?
I do have some songs, yeah. I play some songs.
Can we hear one of your? Can we like just hear the name? One of your recent songs gets you G'd?
No, I mean it's the type of thing like Eye of the Tiger and this type of thing.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's nothing super special. Also depends sometimes like one song that I like for a week and I play this one
Yeah.
and then I never play it again. Yeah, so I don't have anything specific, but
Whatever's gonna G
it's
you up in the
something
moment.
to pump you up, yeah, or something depends on the mood really. Sometimes it's something calming down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's I don't really have, but I can do. Wait, like yeah. I mean, I kind of think about it like a lot about like what I want to do, like kind of trying to be very how to say like present in the moment. Let's say during those games, like just not stress out too much. Like
Yeah.
I know that even if I lose, that it's not the end of just focus on the moment,
But you want to kind of
focus
tap
on your
into
opponent.
that flow state, right? Where there are those times where you're so in the moment that you're not even cataloging it. Where sometimes like a game almost flies by and you can't
I had
remember a lot of what
I
happens
had
in
a
the
lot of
game.
problems with with a couple of things. First of all, like tunnel vision, all the time. Even recently, sometimes I have it. I have something like during important games, I start thinking about super useless stuff. That
Yeah.
one I had for the longest time for years. I don't know if I still have that sometimes, but like for example, you play a match and it's like let's say I'm winning 2-1 versus a very strong opponent, so it's not game over at all. But I'm starting to win a game, and what I'm starting to think is like, what am I gonna say in the winner's interview? The game, but it's like I'm not even ahead in this game, right? Like
Yeah.
it's an even game, and I'm starting to think like, oh, what I'm gonna say in the winner's interview, and then I lose this game, and I'm like, I'm so stupid, and I start thinking about another thing, like, what am I gonna do after I lose? And I'm thinking in the fifth game, it's like start of the game, I'm thinking, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna go for a lunch now, or am I gonna go to the hotel, and meet with the boys? Like, super
Yeah.
useless stuff. That's
Man,
what I'm
are we
thinking about
drinking
very often.
vodka or whiskey tonight? Like it's just like your brain is just this crazy
Yeah,
mechanism and it just starts and you're like, what are you doing, dude? I need to focus on the game right now.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's
But
like
I don't know. Maybe
yeah.
your brain is just trying to relieve the stress of the game. Maybe something like that. So your brain likes it. It
Yeah.
likes to not focus on the game because it's fucking stressful, and it goes like, you're gonna relax after the game, chill. But like, man, I need to think of it. Like the guy is forgetting me or some shit. You need to focus right now. But
Yeah, it's kind of weird because even when you're in a flow state where you're super focused, you're not really thinking about the game either, but you're also not thinking about other things. You almost go into like a time vortex where time just passes. Can you think of any really sick tournament games you've had? Maybe you played very well, but like where you had a sort of experience like that, where you felt like you were so present and you were so in the moment and like stuff was just happening.
I honestly don't remember this. I mean, definitely I had many of those, but I can't pinpoint one game. But it happens. It
Yeah,
happens. So
maybe
hard to say.
against Snoot in the grand finals back in 2017. I remember that was a crazy
No,
Zerg versus Zerg. Any memorable matches in that
I,
one?
I,
Maybe.
I don't think. I mean, I had matches, against people like Serral where I felt really good. Just knew exactly what to do all the time. But it's hard to pinpoint one match. I really don't remember right now. It's hard to say
Yeah.
because they. I mean, most of them are kind of in like a flow state. Because
Yeah,
I
like
really
that.
don't. I don't remember playing most of the series. Like honestly, I don't remember how it felt playing against
Let,
almost any of them. It's like you just sit
let's
down.
talk.
I remember
Yeah.
sitting down and I remember standing up. And throughout it's like I don't remember because I'm so focused on the game that you don't really remember playing it. Yeah.
That's the peak position, I think. Right. You want to be achieving that as much as
I
possible.
mean, I think most people have the situation. Like it's hard to say if it's flow or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
it's like you just focus and
What about your series? A recent one. Just talking about this. When you played Innovation, because you guys had a crazy best of three at Katowice. some of the most
Yeah.
insane Zerg vs. Terran I have watched. I'm actually going to write down in my to-do list to cast this for my YouTube because that was such a good series, and I can't believe I haven't done that yet. That series was, you guys were just, you were all over the place. There were burrowed Banes, those Banelings running into mineral lines. He was diving Marines in. Crazy series.
I mean, I was destroying him. It should have been super easy. I don't want to talk about this one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was destroying him, and then I kind of threw the game because I had strategy that I'm gonna get advantage like from the opening and mid game, and then I'm just gonna dive into his planetary, kill his planetary, and that's when I win the game because he played that game. He played one factory, so he had not enough splash to destroy my army. But so I got very big advantage, and then when I attacked his planetary, I kind of mismicroed, and I didn't kill his planetary, and I lost almost all my units. That's how I very badly threw the game.
Yeah,
besides that, I
that
was
did
super
happen
happy.
twice actually. There was some.
Yeah.
That is, I do remember planetaries on red hit points getting repaired and stuff a few times.
Yeah, if you go for planetary, you need to kill it. If you don't kill it, then it's game over.
Up to that point, though, I think like both of those games were very,
They were
very
very
slick,
good, very
like
good. I knew
really
exactly what
nice.
to do.
Yeah.
But I had like game plan, and I knew what he's gonna do, so it was very simple.
Well, that's
Because
what's so brutal about StarCraft, right? You can have 90% the best play you've ever had in your life, but if you just make one or two very big bad decisions,
very stupid by me. Very, very bad game. Like very good up until that point where I threw it. But yeah.
Did you watch the replays of that one afterwards?
No, but I don't need to. Like I know I
Yeah.
played it well until I threw into planetary. So I didn't watch the replay, but I did work on killing planetaries. So yeah.
Cool. Did you think about why you like? I guess that's actually it. Like even just by identifying that, you're kind of going, okay, like work on how your understanding of how to engage into planetaries and doing it the right way, and that kind of eliminates the thing that leads to it, right? Because that's always the big thing after a loss, right? It's like, you know, you can't just be like, oh, well, don't fucking run into a planetary at a bad time.
No, but like
you've got to.
That was the plan. That was the plan. Like from the start of the.
Do you think you were just a bit too excited and you just didn't look at the size of your army because you just went in with too few units? I think in both games.
Maybe I don't know, just back in the engagement, and I think I wasn't as good with Mutaling Bane as I am right now. Like overall, maybe just not experienced, honestly, in playing like this Ling Bane Muta against planetaries. Right now, I think I do it much better than I was doing back then. I just was not. Yeah, maybe I just was not good versus Terran back then. Just a couple stupid mistakes. What can I say?
This is my favorite and least favorite part of the show. It's like where I'm gonna force you to go back and rewind that game you want to forget. But I think it's just interesting to. We're done on that bit now. It's just kind of interesting to look at that and hear that, like, okay, you went back, you identified that key biggest thing where the game slipped away, and you went back and you worked on busting the planetaries the correct way. So it really is that ability to hone in on the biggest problem points and then just kind of methodically work on it in some custom games, right?
Yeah, for example, that game I also lost my mutas. Faye moved his army and my.
Forgot about that.
So that was the losing point, and then he started dropping my bases. So like it got spiraled, like big domino effect where I go into planetary, I lose mutas, and then he starts dropping me, which would not be a problem if I had my mutas, right? So a lot of, it was a big throw. What can I say?
GG's, man.
And the planet, it was difficult positioning actually for me to attack into the planetary. I think.
Yes.
Because
you're thinking on
Triton
yeah, Triton. Okay, not the the other one was Ephemeron, right?
But the Ephemeron was not as bad of a game, I think. Like I was not as far ahead, and it was fine game. The Ephemeron one was okay.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that game. Just Triton, I was super far ahead. So I threw it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Obviously making you relive a hard series there, but I think some really good series recently. Obviously, I think the big one which surprised people was GSL versus the World. You had such a beautiful run. Was it just everything kind of clicked for that? Your practice just came together and you were feeling really good and the games just kind of worked out? Was there anything special you did for that tournament?
Well, I mean, I did practice for it a lot. I did focus on it because obviously it would get destroyed after, how I got in to the tournament. So I did focus on the practice a lot, and I knew I can beat Dark because Korean ZVZ. So I knew maybe he's like the best player in the world right now, but in ZVZ he's probably not. So my chances are like 50-50. So nothing special. I prepared some tricks. Yeah, just a lot of practice and preparation.
I mean, it was a
I
tough
think.
bracket. For those who didn't watch the tournament and those listening in audio and afterwards, 4-2, Cyril did beat you in the grand finals, but you 3-2'd Neeb, 3-1 Time, and 3-2 Dark. So it was, and obviously there's no easy bracket in GSL versus the world, but it was still a
Yeah,
bloody sick run through. This was when Time, in the previous round, for context, 3-0'd Sue, and he
yeah,
had like a really close series with Cyril right before this
yeah.
at Assembly.
Time was good. Time was very good right back then. But somehow I think I first game because I got into this late game scenarios, right? I can say two late games against him, but I think it broke his mentality quite a lot. Like because he had nice positions, but I was playing this like big map, King's Cove, I think King's Cove.
Ah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I used to get Lady Man was very comfortable, just get spores in the middle of the map, Broodlord Infestor. The guy couldn't break me for like 40 minutes or whatever it was. And after that, I'm like, I'm chilling, right? It's like, okay, I can play whatever I want. But he must have been like thinking that it's impossible to win, definitely, because his mentality, I don't think, is the greatest out of all players. I think his mentality is fine, but he probably definitely didn't like it that game. And after that, he was trying to kill me, so it was very simple for me. Very
Yeah.
simple.
I think that's it's something interesting. Sometimes you're better as a younger player because you don't care as much and stuff, but sometimes you're much worse at handling things and you tilt a lot harder.
Yeah, I think first game I lost to drops, and I was like, okay, I lost to drops, but that's fine. I can play better early game. Then third game was a late game, I think, and then fourth game he already like felt like he needs to kill me before because late game doesn't work, and that was the simplest game I think. But and the late games obviously were like I was fine playing late game against them. I practiced a lot of this matchup, so I was okay.
Hells yeah, man. Well, it was super impressive. Obviously, this year is going to be a little bit weird. We'll see exactly. I'm hoping we hear an announcement from ESL with a whole bunch of online stuff that just gets
Yeah.
underway sooner rather than later because I'm personally mentally prepared for there to maybe be no live events this year. Like, we'll see how it goes. I hope there will be a lot towards the end of the year, but we don't really know, right? So it's going to be an interesting year, but I don't want to keep you for too long, actually. I think we've had such a good discussion. Let's have a couple of quick questions, including some
All
from
right.
chat. So if anyone from chat has any good questions, I don't guarantee I will ask them, but if I happen to like your question, post it. If you asked one before, please repost it, guys. Couple of just rapid fire ones. If you could just have like 1 minute to talk to yourself 5 years ago, young Elazer, what do you tell him to get better at StarCraft?
Oh my god. No, I would tell him to just focus on. I'll probably link him some YouTube videos. That's what I do. Just about
You just like
being,
if you could link young
just
Elazer one YouTube video or like one
just
technique, like
about like videos about well-being, like fix your life, stuff like that. Because my life was a mess back then. Like,
can we get
it
one
was very.
recommendation? Because I love this stuff. I consume an insane amount of self improvement, mental health
Yeah.
podcasts with different experts and
No,
sports people.
I don't have one thing.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. But I don't think I was in a very good spot. Besides, like in StarCraft, I was doing good, but in life, like, even just the way I lived, but it was not only my fault. It was kind of like the environment I was living in. It was just not very good.
Mm.
Right now, it's way better, but it's still not perfect. So I also would kind of try to tell him like tell me in 5 years ago. I would try to tell him as much detail as I can about like what you need to fix and stuff like that. But 1 minute is like very little time, and I hope I would remember everything I said.
if it's too personal, then don't worry. It's totally fine. But
it's a lot of personal things, but it will also be a lot of like health related stuff, like like fix your diet, start drinking a lot, waking up at normal time. Those type of standard things.
Yeah, just get a bit of a routine, eat some more vegetables, stop eating junk food, drink water, start exercising. I always run into you if we're in the same hotel at an event. I always see you in the hotel gym. You're there basically every day at an event, doing at least a bit of a jog on the treadmill.
I think so. Yeah, almost every day. But I think it's pretty important before an event or during an event,
especially with the travel. I think it helps with
jogging.
Yep. All right. So when you hear D-bag, which player's face pops to mind?
Here, man.
Okay.
Obviously.
All right, big game. Cheeser, who pops to mind?
Haas.
Obviously. Yeah. Macro God.
Cyril.
Who's maybe incredibly sick, but no one knows it yet. So maybe like an up and comer on the ladder. Could be someone who we've already seen in some tournaments. So obviously you can't say Clem. Harston was like Clem, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't count.
Okay, let me think.
Clem's like rank 6 on a Ligulac right now. I'm like, no, Harston, no.
No, it's hard to say with those.
Anyone who surprised you on ladder, maybe?
No, really.
So just for anyone out there who stole Elazer's MMR recently on the ladder, it was a one-off. You guys suck.
No, I mean, I think there's some people that work very hard, like Skillus, for example, but I mean, it's not like he's very sick now and he doesn't know it yet. I think he maybe will be very good if he continues to practice out, this type of thing.
All right, so maybe Skillus. We'll keep. I agree with Skillus.
It's hard to say. Like I've had those things where there were like super sick people that didn't know it yet, and those people were like Cyril, 5 years ago, that were like insanely good but didn't win any tournaments. So that's the kind of guy. But there's nobody like this right now.
All right. So who is your biggest nemesis throughout your career? Is there one player who's beaten you a lot, who was a big obstacle for you to get past? Maybe like Nercio in the local Polish scene, or
I mean, Nercio was at the start of the game, definitely. But these days, I don't think I have one. It's like maybe Korean Terran players would be the nemesis. Like I almost never win against them. Something like that.
I just remembered as I asked that Ligulac actually has a feature.
Like maybe somebody like Hiromine actually. I lose a lot to him. Yeah, maybe.
It's always interesting because obviously a Ligulac doesn't pick up everything, but it has Nercio as your number one nemesis. It actually has Euthermal as number 2.
Could be like Terrans in general, but Nercio has very good win rate against, because obviously when I was starting out, I was playing a lot of online tournaments, Polish tournaments and stuff like that, and Nercio would always win those, so he would always play against me and beat me. So, but back then I was quite bad, and I mean,
those your coming up days.
Past 2-3 years, obviously I had probably better win rate against him. So, yeah.
You've overcome a lot of those hurdles.
It's mostly the Terrans. European Terrans like Thermal, Hero Marine.
Yeah.
And Korean Terrans. Those are my nemesis for sure. Yeah. I don't like losing to them either. So not very nice.
It's rough, man. I've had quite a few back in the day, and it still pains me when I think about. Oh, it was always just in like the local scene. King Kong. It was like a B teamer from Korea. Yeah. Do you remember? I remember back in the day because he only played down here, and he had like 2,500 ZVZ on a Ligulac when nobody had anything close, like number 1 in the world by far, because we have like our own, because it was completely because we didn't play enough with people overseas, so all of us had very inflated a Ligulac if you were in like Australia. So I remember Scarlett at a tournament, she's being like, who is this King Kong guy who's like got the best Zerg vs. Zerg in the world? And I was like, oh, he doesn't. He's just infinitely better than me because I was bad at the time. But like he was like a B teamer, and he would still practice with like life and stuff. I was talking about this on my stream earlier today or yesterday,
No,
actually.
I know, I
Yeah.
know because I remember I was playing in some Chinese tournament and King Kong was there. It was start of the Legacy of the Void. The one player
Oh,
that
the
I
one in
talked
Hong
with,
Kong?
possibly, yeah, Hong Kong, not Hong Kong, Shanghai, I think, right? Or
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Oh,
No,
I
but
think
I
he did come
remember
to maybe GPL, maybe?
GPL. It was
Hmm.
GPL, yeah. And I remember he was the one that kind of, because he was playing Korea server, and he told us about this Hydra Ravager link Bane style, like Banings against Protoss. It was the first time ever I saw Banings used against Protoss. Because before that, we never played mass Baning because,
Everyone was playing lurkers before that, right? Like
yeah,
everyone
Lurkers,
was,
or
yeah.
generally speaking, against Protoss, you always played Roaches, Hydras, and Vipers, right? In Heart of the Swarm. Because there was
Yeah.
force fields, there were Colossus, so Banings couldn't work. But then he told us that in Korea they play right now like Dark, and people are playing mass Baning with Ravagers to break force fields. And it
Mm.
was like the first time I saw this style. It was so sick. It was so good. And
Yeah.
he would
Oh man.
teach us this time during GPL. I remember that.
He
That was
always
pretty
had
cool.
the hot line on the builds because he was like an older guy from Brood War,
Yeah.
even though he was only a B teamer there. So he was always like a half coach, half player for the players
Yeah.
before he came over to Australia. So I remember every tournament I'd play against him, he'd have a new cheese, and I'd be like, "What the hell is this build? Like he does this weird thing, then he somehow gets a melee upgrade. How does he squeeze that in?" And then I'd see Life do it in GSL the next week, and like and beat like a Dark, or I'm
Yeah.
trying to think who the best Zergs were back then, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like he was always very very good, and yeah, I remember I still think about that. I'm like, man, he kicked my ass a lot. Like Iagars I used to struggle with for quite a long time before I started to get the better of him sometimes. But yeah, it's hard to get past those ones. I think one of the big things that helped me throughout the years, though, was like a few different players that helped me learn how to play the game better. Have you ever had like a player who you've practiced with enough that they've just given you a crazy amount of advice, or like a mentor when you were coming up as a player? Is there one player out there that like gave you a lot of help improving your game?
Hard to say. Not really. I mean, I had a lot of practice partners that played a lot and kind of got to understand the game better thanks to playing with them, like Harstem, Soul, uh, Basio from Poland. I think we played a lot of ZVTs with him. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he was really fucking good back then. I don't know. I don't know. Hard to say. But there was
It's
a lot of
I think you guys are
partners
all
that.
very tight now, right? Like I mean, you and Harstom and everybody, like you guys all seem
Yeah.
to be a pretty tight knit group. I see you guys always all watching together and pointing things out and helping each other at tournaments and stuff. Chat's shouting Lambo. They think you're not giving Lambo enough love.
I mean, definitely, obviously, in a lot of ways, like we talked a lot about the game, but I don't like. We never really practiced a lot of ZVZs. That's first thing, because he doesn't like practicing ZVZ. But yeah, the strategy talk obviously helps. It just no, I mean definitely, he was also a help. Yeah,
Awesome.
I just can't shout out all the players because there's so many. I played a lot of
Yeah.
games with Sarah. I understand the game better. Just all the it's. I never had a guy that coaches me. I never had a guy that
It was always
talks to me.
a give and take.
Stefano helped me a lot with a lot of stuff. Like we always talked a lot about late games because he was always the guy to play late game, right? So I would go with him on Discord and talk about like ZVP, how to play late game, how to camp with like mass spore and stuff like that. So Stefano would help me a lot. Almost every single Zerg, almost every single Zerg would help me with something.
The Zerg family, man.
Yeah.
Hells yeah. All right. Well, that closes out our rapid fire questions. We'll take one or two from chat really quickly to finish up.
Okay.
Best Terran and best Protoss foreigners right now.
Best Protoss, Showtime, and best Terran. It's hard to say. I don't know.
Is it
I mean,
between maybe Clam?
maybe Clem, but honestly, I don't know.
He hasn't delivered at the big lands just yet, but like I think online
It's
he's looking
like it's
insane.
I would always say it's probably between Uthermal and Clem,
Hmm.
but Hero Marine always has better results.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of those three. Of those three, definitely. But I
Uh,
don't know which one. And
okay.
there's also Soul, who's sometimes very good.
Soul can be absolutely insane when he gets in
Like
his rhythm.
obviously with the recent results, well, it would be easy to say it's Clem, but it's really day dependent. Like if right now we would go into a LAN event offline,
Yeah.
I honestly don't know who I would bet on. I would probably bet on Hirmarin because his odds would be low, and I mean like odds on Hirmarin would be very high, right? And I think Clem is, I'm not gonna say overhyped, but it with him it's still like he didn't have the big results. So I always with those players I always how to say, give them credit very late. Like with Reynor it was the same. Like, not say he's a good player until he like won a Valencia or whatever he won, right? So like I always give credit very late to those players, but I think results are the most important, and if you like crumble up under pressure, then well, who cares about your skill,
Exactly. I mean, it's
Just
all about
everything
bringing
else.
it on the big stage, and that's something some
Yeah,
players never get past that problem.
yeah. For example, it's also because it's not just skill. Like I don't think of like StarCraft to like micro as the most important thing. There are more important things than that. It's just the everything that we have, which is mentality, game skill, like game sense and stuff like that. Which, for example, Raynor has, right? You can see like he's super confident. He like you can see it, like he's very skilled, but he doesn't really get to him very often. That's why with Clem, I don't know. Maybe he's insanely good at the game, but I see him whine very often or like leave without GG because he got A-moved by Zerg or Protoss, and it's like, well, but that's what's gonna happen during a big tournament. It's like I
Yeah.
would like, what if you lose to Haas one game? Like, is because I know Raynor would never lose to Haas, right? Raynor will never lose to Haas, but with Clem, like I don't know. So that's why I can't give him 100% credit yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see where that goes. Raynor seems, that's funny actually. Maybe you've got more perspective, but Raynor seems like someone who doesn't get very tilted. Like he seems kind of, when he fucks up, he takes it with a cheeky smile. He's kind of like, well, I screwed that up, and just kind of
He
moves
does
on.
get tilted, but it's normal.
Sorry, your mic's cutting out.
Oh, sorry. 1 1 2 1 2. Now it
Yeah,
works.
yep, all good now.
So yeah, like I think Raynor does get tilted, but he right now it's normal because he had so many results, so many good results that he kind of expects a lot from himself, right? So it's normal to get a bit angry if you lose anything, honestly, if you're in his position. Yeah.
Indeed.
Now, just to clarify, like I think Clem is probably the best Terran player right now in outside of and like he's insane. It's just as I say, I just give credit quite late to those type of players.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
first, you need to really deliver and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. Like we will see him deliver. It's just when, does it take another year to get the big land performance? Does it take another year and a half? Is it the next big land? We'll see. But I think definitely on the up and up. So awesome, man. Let's finish up there. I think this was an awesome conversation. I want to say a big thanks for coming on. I've just got some lovely links down below for anyone who's watching. You guys can follow Elazer, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, Insta. You're most active on Insta these days. I saw you streaming some Swarm hosts yesterday. Like, what are you most active on at the moment?
Well, I mean, I'm generally speaking active on Twitter and Instagram. And Instagram, I'm very active during events, offline events. I mean, so like when I'm out with the friends and with the boys and stuff like that, then I do a lot of Insta stories. I think it's very good content, so I recommend you to follow. But when I'm here at home, I don't really spam, so you can also follow. Don't worry, I'm not gonna give you shitty content. I only give good content always. Sometimes you need to wait for it. That's it.
Hey, that's the way. Have you got a stream schedule at the moment, or are you just kind of flicking on the stream when you feel it?
No, I do have a bit of a schedule. Right today, I'm gonna stream at 4 p.m. So in 5 hours.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And is that like usually a few days a week you do that, or?
No, okay. I don't have a schedule right now. It's kind of I'm testing out stuff. Usually, I would stream at 10 a.m. So I would start 45 minutes ago. That's what I usually do. But right now, I'm kind of testing like what time is I enjoy the most. So yesterday I streamed in the evening. Right now, I'm gonna stream in the middle of the day. yeah.
I
Heavy
vote
testing.
I vote evening streams just so I can watch. So it's not
How evening? How much evening? I can stream like
whenever you were
9 hours.
streaming yesterday, like 12 hours from
9
now. Like 11 hours from now. 10 hours
11
from
hours?
now.
Yeah, that's a bit late.
Yeah, that's pretty late. That's pretty rare. I think last night was pretty rare.
Yeah, that was yesterday was the latest I could have. The latest.
All right.
Because it was 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and at 10 p.m. I'm already playing Dota. So
That's true. Okay, morning streams then. Then I at least can watch them like my evening when I'm going to sleep. I can still watch a little bit. All right.
So can be morning stream from time to time, sure.
Fingers crossed. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Big thank you everybody in chat. Elazer, Denver, Fear Dragon, a few other StarCraft royalty that dropped by. Much love. Sorry we didn't get to answer everybody's question, but thank you very much for watching. Make sure you do follow Elazer. Links are in the description. Links are in Twitch chat. We love you guys. Goodbye.
Fantastic.
Girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done now.